Retro.
Hey, this is Lauren Mary Kim, and I'm the stunt double for Ahsoka Tano in Clone Wars and the armorer in The Mandalorian. You're listening to Dennis and Jay on Podcast Stardust. This is the way.
Hello there, Star Wars fans. I'm Jay Krebs.
And I'm Dennis Keithley.
And this is another fully armed and operational edition of Podcast Stardust, the galaxy source for Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. But before we jump into this month's World Between Worlds, Dennis, can you remind everyone where our listeners can find us on social media?
All right, listen up, because I'm only going to say this once, and then again at the end of the episode. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Podcast Stardust.
And there you go. So welcome to episode 847 of Podcast Stardust. Today we are bringing you a special monthly feature called World Between Worlds, a mystical dimension that connects Star Wars fashion and lifestyle products to your space and time. The goal is to bring you a wide variety of ideas for products to surround you, outfit you, and bind your style sense together, kind of like the Force. So first, we want to say Happy Valentine's Day if you are celebrating the holiday, regardless of to whom you show your love. You'll hear about products today suited for a significant other, a child, friendship, or just to let someone special know that you appreciate that person. And we know that it's pretty close to Valentine's Day as of the airing of this. So these will be some last minute things, but also some things that you can keep in mind, for other celebrations as well. Because after all, we don't want you looking for love in Alderaan places.
But
Never forget how much we appreciate all of you.
mm-hmm.
We think all of our listeners are too great, and you all Ewok our world. That was crickets right there. And we are so glad you choose us for your Star Wars podcasting fun. So what do you say? Joe wanna be our Valentines? Okay, I've mauled you enough with the puns. Time for some Star Wars fashion and lifestyle fun. But as always, Dennis and I like to fill everyone in on any recent acquisitions or updates on products that we have. And Dennis, I know we were talking before we started recording, and I don't think you have anything new, but do you have any updates?
Well, let's see. I actually got into the, I think I mentioned this last time, but I got into the Star Wars collection of soap, finally, that I got for Christmas, the Dr. Squatch. And they started off with the Emperor bar, which is the one that's got the most grit. But I'm using it in one of those sleeves that you use to lather up, and so I'm not noticing that so much, which kind of helps. I don't ask me how it smells. I am not good with talking about these scents. But one of the things I always love about these bars is that is the color of them. I know I mentioned this last time when I talked about these, and it's this great dark purple there that kind of reminds you of the robes and stuff that Palpatine wears, and so it's I like it quite a bit, and it's been every time I go take a shower, it's like, oh, the Star Wars soap again. Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
So that's great. Kind of come to the end of the lifespan of some of my other Star Wars socks, but these are some pairs that I've had for years, and elastic only lasts so long, so things have to go eventually, and the holes get worn and things and the like. But that's okay. I've got I needed the drawer space, and I seem to come by quite a few socks every year, so it's just a temporary setback.
Yeah, there you go. So I have to ask, okay, with socks, this is going to sound like a really weird question, but do you ever repurpose them for anything else? And the reason that I ask that is because I know I've used old socks for dusting. So you can just, put it over top of your hand and you can do your thing and get in between a lot of different areas and move stuff around. Or I've used them for like chew toys for my dogs. So I put treats inside them and then tie them into knots and they can just rip them to shreds. So I'm not going to, use them for anything else anyways. And if I'm just going to throw them away, but do you ever repurpose them for anything like that?
Well, you're very resourceful. I'll give you that. Not so much, typically because usually when I get rid of a pair of socks, they've gotten pretty threadbare on the bottom.
Mhm.
So, it's just, I'm not saying that they're falling apart on my foot, but I typically notice, like, when I'm wearing them on a long walk or something like that, I was like, why does this feel weird under my foot? And then I
Yeah.
get
Mhm.
off and it's like, oh, that's because their threads have kind of started to wear through there. And I don't typically have holes, but we usually are getting to that point when I get rid
Mhm.
of a pair of socks. And so, yeah, no, I really haven't done that too much. Just, it's a good idea. I'll consider it for the future, but that just hasn't crossed my mind before until you brought it up.
Well, there you go. Yeah, we'd love to hear from our listeners. How do you use your old socks? Gotta put
Inquiring
them to
minds
good
want to
use.
know.
Exactly, especially Star Wars socks, come on. That's
Yeah.
important. Well,
Right.
for me, I did get one new thing, fangirling over Jesus, Ashley Cox. We've talked about her several times on the show, and she's also been on the show as well. She just recently celebrated her 5-year shop-iversary of fangirling over Jesus, and she was offering 8 by 10 inch original prints from her shop to basically anyone that responded to her post on Instagram. So it was her way of just saying thank you for 5 years and then giving back to the community that helped her build her shop. And so she had everything from Star Wars to like Marvel. So she had a lot of Captain America and Bucky kinds of things to choose from as well. And so the one that I chose was there's several Ahsoka inspired different prints. And of course, I chose an Ahsoka one. But the one that I chose was really cool. So it has like this parchment paper look to it, and it has a border around it that kind of morphs from purple to like a bluer hue around the edges, and it has almost like a torn edge look to it. And then on the parchment itself, it has a couple different images. So it has Ahsoka's dual lightsaber hilts from the Ahsoka series, as well as 2 different flowers. And then in cursive or calligraphy, it says name Ahsoka Tano, aliases Snips and Fulcrum, and then associations Jedi Order, 501st Legion, Phoenix Cell, which I would have also added, her clone squadron to that as well. That's just me.
Yeah.
And then for Flora, she has the Larkspur, symbolizing lightness, joy, sincerity, and playfulness. And then she has the purple hyacinth, symbolizing regret and sorrow. So I just thought it was really cool because it's something that, we've talked a bazillion times on the show about things that aren't necessarily in your face Star Wars. And even though it
Mhm.
has the lightsaber hilts on it, it just adds this really delicate, beautiful kind of, feeling to it. And so I put it in just a regular, little cheapy 8 by 10 frame kind of a thing. And it's actually on the wall in my guest bathroom because my guest bathroom is purple. So it really fit in very nicely and actually looks really cool on the wall. And then she sent me an additional print just for free as well. I mean, just as a bonus one. And it's Bo-Katan's helmet in sort of a stylized, almost reminds me of one of those paper mache type crafts. And then
Mhm.
it has a Bible verse on it that says, "Your song is not yet written. I will serve you until it is. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." And that's Joshua 24:15. So, and that one's in blue and white, of course, with Bo-Katan's colors. So thank you, Ashley. That was amazing. And I saw a lot of people on Instagram sharing the different prints that they had chosen as well. So if anybody wants to snag one, they are available on her Etsy shop, and you can check that out at Fangirling Over Jesus.
So
So
the
there you go.
first part of that quote was what Din Djarin said to Bo in
Din
season
Djarin
3.
said Bo. And then
Right.
the Bible
Gotcha.
verse. Sorry. Yes. Thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying that.
Mhm. Of course.
Very cool. Yeah, so very fun. So yeah, so we have some new stuff for Valentine's Day. So again, we're really close to Valentine's Day. So some of these things, like I said, you may not be able to snag in time unless you're having a later celebration. But we did talk a lot on last month's World Between Worlds of some options for Valentine's Day. And I did that purposely because I didn't know how close we were going to be this time around when we recorded. So we talked about 4 new items of Star Wars jewelry from Girls Crew, t-shirts galore from her universe, and then tons of different gift ideas on Etsy. So if you need even more inspiration than what we're going to be talking about here, suggest that you go back and check out episode 8 38, which was the last World Between Worlds episode that we did. So with that, though, I did pick out a few things that I thought would be worth mentioning. And the first one is something that's been around for a while, but it's the little golden book, Someone Who Loves You by Beth Revis. And this is available on Amazon. And so this is just a fun little romantic painterly type illustration book. And it's just a humorous, sweet, relatable little story. And of course, it's Han and Leia on Endor, and then it's got all of the cutesy little Ewoks, and even R2 and 3PO are in this as well. And so it's actually said that it's suited for ages 6 to 8. It is 48 pages long, but as you go through it, it's just, again, it's a little golden book, and it's kind of a fun little gift to give just as a Valentine's present, I think. And it is in stock right now on Amazon, and it is selling for $17.99. Did you pick this one up at some point? I know we've talked about it before.
We talked about the fact it was coming out on the news, but no, I have not picked it up. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really the kind of retelling of the first part of the Princess and the Scoundrel
Mhm.
book, right? So, yeah, neat, some neat art that's in there, but it's just not something that I need in my collection. But hey, it does meet the theme for Valentine's Day, so
Sure. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So again, check that one out on Amazon. And then next one is back to the Nerf Herder Co., which again is another company that we've mentioned several times here on World Between Worlds. And so the Nerf Herder Co. specializes in candles, wax melts, fragrances, roller balls, those types of things. And so this one actually just came out, I think, about 2 weeks ago. And so it's this beautiful candle. It's Star Wars is my love language. And so it is presented in a red glass vessel, and it has a white label on it with red lettering and some red hearts and things like that. And unfortunately, it does ship in 5 to 7 business days. So this is one that you're not going to get before Valentine's Day. But again, it's something that you can keep, even for anniversaries or, just to show your love. So the fragrance itself is strawberry macaron and Chardonnay, which is a beautiful gourmand scent. So it has a sophisticated strawberry forward fragrance. And there's also some wax melts available as well in the same scent. And the candle itself also has added scented heart-shaped wax melts to the top of the candle. So the placement and pattern of the wax melts will vary from candle to candle, and it is limited edition. So if you do want this one, you might want to jump on it. And I just know personally, I love the Nerf Herder Co. candles because they all have wood wicks, which just really add to the ambiance of
Oh
the
yeah.
candle itself. It's just amazing. So these candles sell for $32. And again, I know that sounds like a lot for a candle, but it's a 13-ounce candle, and I really highly recommend these candles. I'm kind of become a candle snob when it comes to, what I buy. And so this one's definitely at the top of my list. So yeah, again, Nerf Herder Co., make sure you check that one out. So while you're at it, if you're getting candles, you might have to set the table for a romantic dinner. And Heroes and Villains just debuted a new line of Star Wars table linens. And this one came off on my line, and I was like, what? This is super cool. Like, I want every one of these. Not that I would ever really use them, but I might use one or two of them. So there are actually 3 different styles, and these include things like cotton table runners with tassels, quilted cotton placemats, and even embroidered cotton napkin sets. So if you really want to elevate your table to the next level with Star Wars designs, this is the way to do it. I mean, if you're looking at the whole lifestyle package, this is it. So the 3 styles include Endor, which is inspired by the lush forested moon of Endor, as you can imagine. And you can elevate your dining experience with this Star Wars Endor and add a bold and stylish touch to any gathering. It features a digitally printed design inspired by the Forest of Endor and the iconic Rebel Alliance emblem. So it has like a deep green set of foliage. So there's like a really deep evergreen, and it's accented with a lighter green. And then you have your bold orange of the Rebel symbol and some leaves and that type of thing as well. And then you have the light versus dark theme. So this is a sophisticated and stylish set guaranteed to brighten up or highlight the mood of any social event. So this one has all black, white, and gray tones. And there's several pictures that are featured on the Heroes and Villains website that show all of the different pieces put together as well. And so the light versus dark has a lot of really clean lines to it. So this one just reminds me, as you know, as I just mentioned, very sophisticated, modern type of feel to it. But it has things like TIE fighters and the Imperial cog, and some of the jet streams from the different ships and that type of thing. And then the third one is Tatooine. So this one brings the iconic landscapes of Tatooine to your table, featuring vibrant designs inspired by the desert planet itself. So this one, as you can probably guess, has all the different desert tones, such as the nice sandy look of the orange and the sunset. And even in the placemat, it's really cool because the lines that are embroidered into it remind you of sand dunes. And then there's also 2 circles, which I'm sure are representing the Tatooine twin suns. And then you also have the different symbols such as the Imperial cog, as well as the Mythosaur skull and the Rebel symbol as well. And this one is it's absolutely beautiful. And I really, really, really adore that one too. So the napkins, a set of 4, sell for $32. The table runner dimensions is 16 inches wide by 72 inches in length. So it's pretty long. And then the tassels themselves are about a half an inch wide by 2 inches long. And each one of them comes with, I think it's 4 tassels on each one of the table runners, if I'm not mistaken, from the pictures. And then the placemats, you get a set of 4 for $52. And the placemats are actually reversible. So you have the plain quilted image on one side, and then you have a little bit more of a design image on the other. And that the dimensions on that one are 20 inches by 14 inches. So, I mean, to buy everything, you're looking, at well over $100. But again, if you're going to be doing this as something that you're going to be using for a special occasion, and you're using it for that, I mean, people do the same thing with China, and they take it out for special occasions and that type of thing. But I do have to say, I was very impressed with the fact that they actually set the tables correctly. So they had the knife in the right place, facing the right way. The fork was on the left. The water glass was right at the tip of the knife. So I was like, kudos to whoever actually did this, because they actually know how to set a table. So yeah, there you go. Heroes and Villains. Do you have a specific style that you like better than another out of these?
Of these, I think the indoor set or the light versus dark, and I'm having a hard time because they both look like the indoor one almost looks like it'd be something that you would put on your table around the Halloween to Thanksgiving time period. And the light versus dark, if you don't look at it so closely and see all the ships with all the lines that they, the clean lines that they have on it, that looks like fine dining. You know what I mean? On there. So no, those both are the 2 that stand out to me for different reasons.
Yeah, and they're actually all really impressive designs, I have to say. And they almost remind me a little bit of like what Ruggable has tried to do. And I know
Yeah.
you own a couple of the Ruggable rugs as well. And quick aside, I don't know if we've talked about it, but Ruggable actually does have some new placemats out. And I think we may have mentioned that in a previous World Between Worlds a couple months ago. But at any rate, you can really deck out your home with a lot of
Oh,
different
yeah.
types of things. So I also have my eye right now on some bedding, and I've been wanting to talk about it, but I think I'm going to save that for a future one, because I really want to get the bedding. So
Cool.
spoiler alert, but we'll talk about that on another time. So moving on, though, we do have one more set of jewelry to talk about. So I mentioned Girls Crew, which I've talked about before. This one actually came over my line from kind of an unsuspecting place. So it came from Legion Sabers. And Legion Sabers is actually known for, as you can probably guess, really high quality lightsabers. So they have a lot of battle ready sabers available on their website. And so they actually even have a light whip, Dennis, I have to tell you.
Oh
And
wow.
I thought that was really incredible. But at any rate, what came over my line was for these saber necklaces that they are currently offering. So these are all stunning metal lightsaber hilt necklaces, and they have very sleek designs, high quality metal that mimics that iconic hilt of a lightsaber. So, according to the website, the colors, they will catch the light beautifully. The chain adds a touch of sophistication, making it, as they say, perfect for both casual outing and themed events. So it says whether you're seeking the ideal gift for a fellow space enthusiast or treating yourself to a unique piece of jewelry, our metal lightsaber necklaces are sure to ignite your passion for adventure. So on the website right now, there are 9 different saber necklaces that you can pick from, and they kind of tiptoe around some of the names because they're not considered, officially licensed kinds of products. So, but they do have ones that, and these are all obviously going to be very familiar, like Vader, duh, Obi-Wan, Malagas. So I'm assuming as I click on that, I'm not really super familiar with Darth Malgus's lightsaber, but I'm thinking that that's probably what that one is. If you look at it, it's got
Right.
these two. Is that what Darth Malgus's lightsaber looks like? Are you familiar?
I only guessing, but I think your guess seems right to me. Is basically what
Yeah.
I'm agreeing to. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to look up, like, and compare and contrast what that hilt looks like. But then there's one that's the dark saber, but they have it as dark saber, so I assume that that's how they got away with it. But there's one called Youngling Slayer, and then we have Star Killer, and then they actually do call it Ahsoka two necklace set. So again, this is her hilts from the Ahsoka series, as well as Rebels. I'm sorry, and the brick LG30. So is that, did you? It's Lego, obviously. And
Yeah.
then Maul is the double bladed, and then there's one called Kestis. So if you look online, though, there's a lot more than 9 that they have featured. And so I was looking at some of these, and I was trying to figure out, there's a few other ones that are in here that I'm not super familiar with the hilts, but they're almost like a more of a pewter look to them. And but very simple. I feel like they're very understated, but they would go with just about everything. So they range anywhere from $25 to $35, which I felt like was a pretty darn good deal, really, for a necklace of this caliber. And they do show in one of the pictures a young gal that's wearing the saber necklace, and it's not overly huge, and it's not so small that you can't tell what she's wearing either. So it's kind of in that Goldilocks zone of being, I feel like, just right. But did you have a favorite pick out of any of these?
It- they're all just pretty cool, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm looking at these here, and yeah, I mean, they did a good job of recreating all the sabers that we know
Hmm.
without using the spot on names, so they don't get sued.
Sure.
Uh, but uh, but that's a neat little idea that they've come up with there. Um, I don't know. I mean, I've always been partial to Vader's saber and Obi-Wan's.
Mhm.
So yeah, those are pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I really like about these two is the fact that they're unisex. They look like a dude could wear these just as well as something very dressy with a feminine, kind of an outfit. So they would be great for the all-around gift for sure. So again, that
Hmm.
is on Legion Sabers. So if anybody's interested in any of these products, all the links will be in our show notes. And Dennis always does an amazing job of putting all of our show posts together. And you can find those on Facebook and Instagram. So, lastly, what I did was I had a couple things that came up over my Instagram line, and I actually, one of these, a friend of mine had sent me and said, "Oh my gosh, have you seen this? You need to go here someday." And so I thought, what the heck? This is we talk about lifestyle here on World Between Worlds. And of course, travel is part of lifestyle. And so, as Star Wars fans, we're always looking for Star Wars themed things to do. And, if we're not fortunate enough to get out to Galaxy's Edge, there might be something in your neighborhood or galaxy near rather than far, far away. So the first one that I picked out is a little place called Hen Solo. So this is in Philadelphia. And so they have, it says, may the flavor be with you. And so on their menu, the names of this are just cracking me up because they have Tender Squadron and Winged Order, the Brioche Battalion, the Taco Burrito Wars, the Rebel Cutlet Rolls, the Outer Rim Sides, Hyperdrive Combos, Hen Solo Kids Combos, and Force Fueled Drinks. So the little menu items underneath here, for example, under the Rebel Cutlet Rolls, they have the 12 Parsec Caesar for $16, breaded chicken cutlet topped with kale, Caesar salad, and Parmesan, served on a fresh seeded roll. Add buffalo sauce for $1. So they have galactic walks, a TIE fighter, THAI, the solo cheesesteak, and then they also have other fun things like the galaxy tacos, Attack of the Fajitas, all kinds of fun things. So again, if you're in the Philadelphia area, you can check out Hen Solo. And then this next one is the one that my friend had sent me and said, oh my gosh, Jay, you have to get here someday. And we have to ask Ryder about this one because it's in Utah. And so this is a place called Outpost X, and it is near 7 different national parks that you can enjoy favorite outdoor activities. So technically, Outpost X is in Barrel, Utah, and they have so many different kind of glamping destinations that you could do with this, and there's so many fun things that they show where you literally are staying out in the desert, but you have land speeders that you can drive around on. They call them sand cruisers, and then they have different types of lounges. They have a mocktail cantina, different game rooms, different kinds of domes and caves that you can rent out. And so you kind of get this whole Tatooine experience. And, I would love to look into this to see what it would actually cost to do this. But some of the pictures on here are just absolutely amazing. And just being able to get out this far into the desert, one of the things for me personally would be just to experience the stars at night. But they have some pictures on the inside of some of these caves, they call them, and they really do look like you're inside, like Owen and Baru's house, and that's where you're staying. It's pretty cool. And then they also have these trampolines that are set down into the land itself. So you're just basically, jumping on top of the trampolines there. But it just looks absolutely amazing to me. Have you ever heard of this place?
No, this is all brand new to me. Yeah, this is.
This might.
I had no idea like anything like this existed.
I was gonna say this might be, the podcast meetup place. Like we should all go to this.
There we go. Yeah.
Like we can all just like meet up here because we haven't seen each other in so long. I haven't even looked to see how much it's going to cost. I'll be quite honest. I probably will look at the price tag and go, oh, okay. But I know some of the caves themselves, they're around like $400 a day. So I'm imagining with everything else that you add on to it, you're probably looking at, pretty good price tag. But I mean, I guess if you're looking at any other kind of vacation that you would want to take, if you're looking for a destination vacation, that could be a really fun one. So again, that's Outpost X in Barrel, Utah. So the next one I chose because, well, mainly for selfish reasons. I've been to this place. It's called Mike's Place in Kent, Ohio, and I went to Kent State University for my undergrad, so I'm very familiar with this place. So Mike's Place is basically just like a great little dive bar kind of thing. There's a lot of different eclectic sorts of things going on here, everything from like a shipwrecked feel, pirate feel. But the fun thing about it is that Mike has a lot of movie memorabilia, and one of the things that he has is an X-Wing parked right out in the parking lot. So if you are up for some amazing pub fare as well as a little, fun Star Wars diversion, it is right off Route 76 there in Kent, Ohio. And like I said, I've been here and it's a lot of fun. So again, that's Mike's Place in Kent, Ohio. And then the last one that I pulled out for this time around anyways, I might start making this a little feature on World Between Worlds, is a place called Cheesesteak Rebellion. And this one is in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And so Cheesesteak Rebellion is, kind of along the same lines as Hen Solo in that way, but it was basically with the aim of bringing some authentic cheesesteaks and comfort food to the community. And then it evolved to have this ambience heavily inspired by Star Wars. And it was just kind of a way to make the space more than just a restaurant. So you can explore memorabilia, play some arcade games, immerse yourselves in a fun and nostalgic setting. And they combine food and fast service in a very unique atmosphere. So they have, a bunch of different kinds of things that once again are very Star Wars inspired. And they have wall art that has all of these different kinds of things for you. And they have the Rebel Whiz cheesesteak, for example, is one of the one of the menu items that they have. As well as a lot of really other fun things as well. So as we're looking through here, they have served on these hoagie buns, just a lot of fun. They have the dark sides, cheesy choices, all kinds of fun things. So again, if you're ever in Green Bay, Wisconsin, check out Cheesesteak Rebellion. There you go. Have you ever heard of any of these places before? I know we just said the Outpost X you hadn't, but Hen Solo, Mike's Place, Cheesesteak Rebellion, any of those sound
Well, I
familiar?
feel like I came across Hen Solo recently, but I don't know if that's a link you sent me or what happened there
Oh,
because
maybe.
yeah, which might have been the case. But I was like, where did I just saw this someplace, but no, I have not been there. And um, but that's all fun. That's pretty
Oh
cool
yeah.
that they have
Yeah.
that type of thing. I mean, there's um, along this line, my one of my favorite local pizza places here is called Fifth Street. And they serve a lot of St. Louis style pizza, and they got a lot of their thing to that. However, when you walk in the front door, one of the little pillars that holds up the ceiling, they've got all this old Star Wars memorabilia on it for whatever
Nice.
reason. And so it's just kind of fun when you walk in and get those type of homages to Star Wars, and they engage in that type of theming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know there's a place here in Ohio that unfortunately just went out of business, and it was Melt Bar and Grilled. And they used to have on May 4th, they always had some kind of special, May the 4th type of menu item, but they put it on these placards, almost like the old marquee type posters that you might see for concerts and or movies, that type of thing. And so one year they had the this whole meal, and one of them was a TIE fighter sandwich,
Mm.
THAI. Well, Melt Bar and Grilled is all about like specialty grilled cheese sandwiches basically. And so I actually have that poster framed in my kitchen,
No
and
need.
I'll have to send you a picture of it. And it's just so sad that restaurant ended up going out of business. They actually just had a garage sale a couple weekends ago, and I couldn't go. And I thought, oh gosh, I would love to have some of their memorabilia, because they're another one. They just had like really kitschy kind of things, but it just worked so well because it was so eclectic. I just love places like that. There's another place here in Ohio that's a little coffee place. It's a like a food truck type of thing. It's called Java the Hut. And so they
Hmm.
have like all these different kinds of coffees and that type of thing. So I would love to hear from our listeners if there are Star Wars themed type of restaurants or, fan events, that type of thing in your area and in your neighborhood. And, hit us up on our Discord or on our Instagram or Facebook page, email us. And yeah, I would love to talk about them on the show because I just think that's super fun. So yeah, hit us up for sure. So anything else you want to add, or should we wrap it up?
No, this is fun. That's a neat little diversion from what we usually do.
Yeah, yeah, I figure I'd shake it up a little bit. So there you go. Well, thank you all for joining us for this episode of Podcast Stardust and this month's edition of World Between Worlds, your Star Wars fashion and lifestyle connection. And before we go, we just like to remind you for subscribing and to tune into RetroZap, where you can find all episodes of Podcast Stardust all the way back to episode 1. And we have over 800, obviously, in our catalog. And you can also subscribe over there as well. And definitely hope you enjoyed this episode and our discussion. And so, again, you can hit us up on Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, and more. And RetroZap is also home to a lot of other great shows. We have things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Case Files, Animanicast, Brews and Blasters, Dork Lair, Dunecast, Enjoy Stuff, Love, Death, and Robots Plus, Superhero Suite, and Warp Trails, just to name a few. And if you could help us out, we would love some ratings and reviews. So you can do that on Apple Podcasts. That seems to be the one that boosts us up those algorithms the most, but we'll definitely take ratings and reviews anywhere, and as well as sharing all of our shows out on social media and telling all of your friends about us. So before we go, Dennis, can you remind everyone one more time where we can be found on those social media outlets?
All right, listen up, because I'm going to say this one more time until next episode. All right, Facebook and Instagram, we are at Podcast Stardust. Jay's got us set up on Pinterest, so you can find a bunch of stuff over there. All of our shows are available on YouTube in both video, which is actually not a video format, and the YouTube music format. So those are two more outlets. And again, they have an extensive collection of our shows compared to most other podcatchers. If you are looking for some sort of apparel with the Podcast Stardust logo on it, and who isn't these days, head over to TeePublic, and you can find the link for that in our show notes. Jay, I know you've been keeping busy with cosplay. What is the latest?
All right. So yeah, you can always catch me on my Instagram, which is at j.snipscosplay. And I know I've mentioned this already a couple times before, but since we're talking about World Between Worlds, I'll hit up one more plug. I was recently featured in Creative Cosplays magazine for their mid-season issue number 20 entitled Team Ups. And I'm featured with a fellow cosplayer that goes by Commander Oppo on Instagram. So you can check that out on my Instagram. And if you hit up Creative Cosplays on Instagram as well, you can get a link if you would like to get your own hard copy or digital copy of the magazine as well. And I do have a couple of appearances coming up here very soon in March. So in the magazine, I was featured as Ahsoka, but I'm also doing Hera, the fourth sister, as well as my original concept Mandalorian and a few other things as well. So coming up on the show this Friday, we have our next news episode. And then Monday, we are getting back into yet another discussion of the Clone Wars in our Clone Wars rewatch. So thanks for listening to episode 847, everyone. Have a great week. And until next time, may the force of Star Wars lifestyle be with you.